So the Ontario College of Psychologists has told Jordan Peterson that he either undergo retraining for social media etiquette or lose his license to practice as a clinical psychologist. This follows a number of complaints by people who don't like his online posts, one of which is a retweet of something I posted, another is a criticism of Justin Trudeau. Now, it should go without saying that in a free country, professionals should not lose their jobs and licenses because they express a political opinion contrary to the licensing body that's mandated by the government. But, of course, in saying this, my liberal critics in the media will, of course, say, well, Poilievre agrees with freedom of speech for someone like Dr. Peterson, therefore he must endorse everything Dr. Peterson has ever said. Well, of course not. I don't endorse 100% of everything anyone has ever said. There's no two people in the world who agree 100% of the time on 100% of things. And so I'm sure there is something he's posted that I do object to, but that is not the point, because freedom of speech only matters when you disagree. I mean, if we all agreed, we wouldn't need freedom of speech because no one has ever tried to censor someone for saying something that they agree with. It is only when there is a disagreement that it matters. And that's what distinguishes Canada, a free country, from dictatorships. Dictators don't censor things their citizens say that the dictator agrees with, only things they disagree with. I may not agree with what you say, but I will defend to my death your right to say it.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. It may be Friday. Absolute metric ton of news going on outside of everything basically going on with the House, too, with the Speaker of the House vote. There's been some developments with the Jordan B. Peterson case, including him striking back and filing suit against the college or the association, and his release of the actual receipts, the actual complaints against him. And they're just as pathetic and spurious as you might expect, but important nonetheless, because they are the actual receipts. Before we get into that, just a super quick reminder that coffeebrandcoffee.com is my coffee company. We've got almost 15 available coffees right now, a dozen organic loose leaf teas, 4 different delicious cocoa flavors. We've got K-Cups. And this coming up is closing out for the probably this week. All these Christmas flavors will be coming off the website. So your last chance to get the peppermint mocha, the white chocolate cranberry, the Santa's helper, eggnog. We've already sold out of both spiked jack-o'-lantern and pumpkin spice. So if you're thinking about trying to, obviously our best seller is the blueberry cobbler. Maybe pick that up. Our regular flavors too, our light roast 002, our dark roast 004. It supports the channel. It helps immensely. And I think you really like it. Now, you could always read the reviews, by the way, which is now over, I think, 3,068, with like 99% of them being 5 stars. So, yeah, pretty good stuff. Promo code The Quartering to save, by the way, too. Now, Jordan Peterson released. Here's all the documentation relevant to the Ontario College of Psychologists' decision to require me to undergo mandatory media use re-education with one of their, quote, experts. Take note, Pierre Poilievre and Justin Trudeau. And he actually just linked a Google Doc, which is, see a link to that. And I'm like, I don't want to click that. But Jordan Peterson is a bit of a boomer, so it's fine. Now, here's the actual records. I have included all relevant correspondence, removing only administrative material duplicated across complaints, and redacted only identifiers, the complaints which are not part of public record. I believe I am within my rights and acting in accordance with ethical standards that govern appropriate professional conduct in the spirit and relationship to the letter of the law. The college has been levying accusations and conducting investigations in relationship to me since 2017. Although not once in the 20 years I operated as a clinical psychologist before my rise to public awareness. I will make the details of those public as well if it seems useful and necessary. For the sake of simplicity, I am concentrating on the 2022 actions for now. So now you see the actual complaints. So here's an actual complaint. All right, this form has been submitted, so he gets a copy of this. The person regarding the complaint doesn't even list their address or anything. I mean, I'm not saying I need it to cover it, but I am saying that it's not there, even redacted. And you see the complaint. Peterson encouraged someone to end themselves on Twitter. Okay, a screenshot. They even acknowledge, I understand I'm filing a formal complaint against Jordan B. Peterson with the Register of the College of Psychologists. So somebody went to this website and took a screenshot of his tweet and complained about it. Here's another one. To whom it may concern, it is against every ethical standard and best practice in the U.S. National Association of Social Workers Code. By the way, this person doesn't even know he's not from the United States, or he's not governed by the United States, apparently. To make light, encourage, or even joke about the reference topic of self-deletion in a manner that is not grounded in safety, prevention, evidence-based therapeutic intervention. I am sure that Canada's standards of professional psychology social work are similar. I'm not going to research it, though. I'm just going to file this complaint. Here's the tweet. The college also included these tweets as part of their complaint later on 3/7/2022. When notified of the complaint, Dr. Peterson responded in part as follows on February 16th. I read it. Go ahead and investigate. Take whatever steps you deem necessary. I'm simply not going to spend hours and days required to undergo the unbelievably stressful process unnecessary to respond to this formally, because one of the millions of people who follow me on social media took offense to one thing I said at one point. The college should understand clearly that it is not in everyone's best interest for its entire bureaucratic process of investigation to be leveraged against its constituent professionals in this manner. So no, I'm not going to defend myself. Do whatever you want. Shortly after sending this email, Dr. Peterson tweeted the following, talking about the investigation and so on and so forth. Here's another complaint. Dr. Peterson has publicly opined that the Children's Aid Safety Intervention is required in a public review of Ottawa trucker protest. Well. Here's the tweet. A summary of actions and interactions undertaken by the college sent to me. You see, all this stuff, as part of my report, I'm going to attach the following document. All these tweets. Imagine your job. Like, oh, here's all these things. Oh, he was on Joe Rogan. We didn't like this. Here's a transcript. Joe Rogan Experience podcast. You have to like defend yourself all the time, constantly, because a couple of losers on the internet like take offense to you. Like it's insane. The issues: disgraceful, dishonorable, unprofessional conduct, provision of information to the public. Here's another complaint. I'm writing to request the college establish whether Dr. Jordan Peterson has violated college standards and regulations during his 4-hour interview on the Joe Rogan Experience. I mean, look at all this time somebody with timestamps, and they're just getting offended professionally, and they're doing this for free. That's the crazy thing about this. Like, I know that there are I see it on a smaller scale, where there are like tightly knit groups of people that really hate me. And they really, really think that they're getting over on me by spending all day obsessing about every little thing I do, every little mistake I make, what they don't realize is they're actually my biggest fans. And at the end of the day, they've dedicated their lives to me. And that's what these people are too with Jordan, except he's got way more. You know, like, oh no, he called somebody a prick. So here's a complaint immediately. Conversations about fellow colleagues just dismayed in seeing in the public domain, embarrassed to be the same college as him, embarrassment to be a professional that calls himself a psychologist because he called somebody a prick. I'm not going to go through this whole thing because he linked it and you can read it, but it's like, 56 pages of nothing burgers. It's absolute hilariously nothing burger after nothing burger. So now, the court filing by Jordan Peterson against the College of Psychologists of Ontario. Peterson has been ordered to undergo training on how he should conduct himself on social media after a series of complaints were made unrelated to his work as a psychologist. That's kind of the big deal. In fact, most of the complaints were about political statements Peterson had made on Twitter or about the Joe Rogan podcast. We decided the best way to challenge this would be in the courts on the constitutional grounds, Peterson said, told The Sun on Thursday. I don't trust the process of the college and no one should. Peterson has made much of the material against him available and is trying to push back against what he considers, and what I consider, an overreach by the college under Ontario law. The college was established to set standards for practice and issue licenses, but Peterson believes they have ventured into policing speech unrelated to the practice of psychology. By the way, this is obviously a developing story. If you're enjoying my coverage, please leave a like on the video, and if you haven't yet, there's a subscribe button down below. I would greatly, greatly appreciate if I could earn your subscription today. The notice of application filed by Peterson's legal team seeks an order quashing the decision of the Inquiry's Complaints and Reports Committee of the College of Psychologists of Ontario, which was dated November 22nd, 2022. The order is the certiorari. I don't know exactly how to pronounce that. Certiorari order is a review by a higher court of a lower court ruling. Peterson has filed with the Ontario Superior Court of Justice for review of the ruling by the college, which acts as a quasi-judicial body backed up by a legislative framework governed by the province of Ontario. Essentially, the college is saying that, they're acting as a gatekeeper, and they're saying, well, we don't like the political opinions that you're espousing, so we want to make sure that you can't work. That's essentially what this is. And so he has struck back now and said, all right, well, let's go to court. Let's make this a big deal. And I think that's smart of him. First of all, it's going to build his cachet, right? Build his brand. And there are certain fights that only he can fight at this scale. And, I worry about his mental health because it just seems like, he's had a rough go. But sometimes, at the top where he is, you're the only guy that can fight this fight. And the fact that he's willing to fight it, he doesn't really need to. I mean, he's probably got a bank account full of cash, overflowing with cash. He probably never has to work again. And he doesn't need his license probably anymore. He makes more money creating content or doing speaking tours or whatever, but it's a matter of principle. And few people are willing to go to the mat for principle these days. And so I definitely support Jordan B. Peterson. I will be covering his impending court battle to overturn this. And, well, eventually we'll see if they try to revoke his license to practice, which would be, I think, obviously a huge mistake. But sometimes you don't want to interrupt your opponents when they're making mistakes. And I think all this does is shine more light onto the authoritarian state that not just Canadians, but people around the world are facing. The policing of speech and defining words as harmful and things of that nature. I feel like Jordan's done his part already to fight this fight. It sucks that he has to be redrafted into part 2, but he has my wholehearted support, and I know of my viewers will also support him in this. So I hope you were informed and enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, subscribe. We'll talk to you again real soon.